Most people talk about leadership like it's theory. I've lived it in the mud, the chaos, and the moments nobody writes about. This show is the truth, raw, unfiltered, and built for leaders who actually give a damn. If you're ready to grow, ready to own your own story, and ready to lead from the front, you're in the right place. Speak up, show up, lead. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Speak Up, Show Up, Lead Leadership Live Edition with Chris Pinkowski, and I'm your always host, JJ Hardy. And today we have an interesting topic. We've gotten into the new year here with reinvention and, we're goals and all that other stuff. And today we're talking about reinventing without losing your edge. And so hopefully you guys enjoy the conversation. Chris, how you doing today?
Doing great, JJ. How are you?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Life is good. Things are moving right along. It's not so doggone cold out here. So, all things up from here.
Dude, it is frigid cold outside of Philadelphia.
Is it?
Yeah, man. It's 4 degrees right now. I'm not digging this, but what are you going to do?
Well, it's kind of that time of year. And when you're that far north, and I'm kind of a same level, but just halfway across the country, if you're not expecting below freezing temperatures and sometimes below zero and even much worse than below zero, which we've had here in the last couple of weeks as well, then, you're probably haven't lived there very long.
Right. Well, I think we're about 40 some days away from spring. So, yeah,
I'm excited about that. I truly am. As a matter of fact, I have a radiator leak in one of my vehicles, and I've just been topping it back off because I don't have a garage. So, it's one of those things where I'm happy to replace the doggone thing. I don't want to pay a mechanic for it, but I'm going to limp it through until I can do it when it's warm.
There you go. Nice.
But so reinvention without losing your edge. Let's let you go first today. What, in your opinion, what does that mean to the listeners here?
Yeah, I think one thing that people need to understand about reinvention is that your edge doesn't go away. It just becomes refined. So you're not talking about becoming a whole different person. You're talking about elevating to the next level.
Yep.
And what a lot of people, I think some people misunderstand what their edge is. So I want to get that out there first and foremost. A lot of folks think that their edge is their ability to work hard and grind and control outcomes and things like that. But in reality, right, your edge is your ability to make decisions under pressure. It's your ability to be resilient. It's, having the courage to act. Those things define your edge, and reinventing yourself only sharpens those. It doesn't dull it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And reinvention doesn't have to mean changing who you are. It just means that you're doing something that better aligns with you, is usually what that means. And so if you lose your edge while you're doing that, it could happen temporarily because you're doing something that makes you feel uncomfortable. It doesn't mean your identity feels weird because now you're doing all these things that you're doing that aren't familiar to you. And so you might feel uncomfortable and you might be a little bit more quiet than you're used to, maybe not quite as confident. But while you're getting used to your new thing, that doesn't mean you're not still the same, hard charger or the same, you don't still have the same intelligence or all of those things. It just means that you're trying to better align your life.
Exactly.
Yep. So alignment. Let's talk about alignment a little bit. We touched on it last time, and I just think alignment is so important. And when we talk about alignment, a lot of people, they get freaked out by it, but you know, it, we have to brush up on it just this call for a little bit, because I want to remind everybody that it's okay to go out there and try new things if it means you're going to make your life better for you or your family or both or whatever the case may be. It doesn't hurt to give something a try.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
and by the way, trying that new thing, you might find out that that doesn't align with you, and that's okay too. And all alignment is finding that thing that makes you feel like you're doing the right stuff out there. And if you're the age of me or Chris, I'm not going to say necessarily what those are, but I will say that, when you get older than 30, you start feeling like, man, does all this grind make things worth it? And if it doesn't, and you know that there's something you've been wanting to do, well, right now is the right time to work towards that.
That's right. You know what's the old saying? The time to plant a seed for a tree is today. Something along those lines. I don't know. The bottom line is it means like take action. Do something.
So I like the old saying is every day is a gift, so there's no time better than the present.
Oh, okay. I like that.
That's always been the one that I use. And so
Okay.
why are you going to wait to take action on your goals? You don't.
Right.
You don't. You can do it today. Hell, if today's not the day because it's the weekend, wait till Monday. I mean, good Lord. I mean, just do something to align yourself. It's your life. You only get one of them.
That's right.
And if you're not doing what you feel like God put you on this earth to do, and if you're not a believer of God, then if you're not doing what you feel aligned with, then I mean, try to figure out what that is and do it.
There's nothing wrong with that kind of self-reflection. And I think that sometimes people get so wrapped up in what they're doing that they don't take the time to reflect and say, am I moving in the right direction? Um, they don't do the root cause analysis of why they might be unhappy. They might start judging like, oh, I don't like my old vehicle, or my knees hurt, or whatever. Like, you know what? Let's peel back a few layers and understand what it is. Number one, that might be making you unhappy, but number two, where are your goals? Where do you want to be? And how do we align those two in order to get you there?
Yeah.
Growth needs to happen throughout your life, and it needs to be intentional if you want to achieve those goals. And sometimes that does require some reinvention of yourself, and it's the maturity process, right? That's part of what reinvention is. You're maturing in your career, in your life, your personal life, but it's being intentional about it, not just letting the process take over, but you guiding the process to end up where you want it to end up.
Yeah. And, there's another thing that comes to mind while we're talking about this, is that there's another reason why people might be coming to that stage where they have to try that new thing. And so let's talk about my fellow veteran audience. It's a scary thing when you're forced to do it, because now it's that next chapter of your life. And there are some civilians out there that are going through the same thing. Could be a police officer, could be a fireman, could be, whatever your career is. Maybe you're coming up to retirement and you're trying to figure out that next thing. I will tell you from experience that it can be very daunting, and especially when you don't really have much of a choice to do it. But the things that we're going to talk about here about goals and stuff like that, I think that it's important to understand that do the work early, because when you're out on your butt and you're forced to do it without a choice, it yeah, you may have retirement coming in. Yeah, you may have VA disability coming in. Yeah, if you're a police officer, you may have that retirement coming in, whatever the case may be. But when your mission drops and that part of your identity goes away and you don't have that next duty station to look forward to, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that you want to find something to do, because if not, you're going to start feeling like you're less than you were, and you don't want to do that.
No.
That is the leading. I help a lot of people through talking them. I kind of talk them off a ledge, and that ledge exists for them, whether it's with a weapon or whatever the case may be. That exists for them because they feel like they lost their sense of purpose. And I need to bring that up, because when we're talking about this process and that's you and it's forced, and you don't have the choice in 2026 to go and do your new thing, you're just going to have to do it because it's your time. Then please pay close attention to these things, because it's you don't want to lose your sense of self and feel like you're less just because you're not in that old role that you were in before, which wasn't just a role, it was actually a lifestyle. So
Yeah.
sorry, Chris, I had to go there.
No, and that's fine. And I'll keep it on that topic for a second because I've heard this said by Jocko. I've heard this said by other people with a platform that it's important to find your next mission. So, when you make that transition, you've got to look at it and say, okay, I've been in this frame of mind for so long. Let's continue that frame of mind into my civilian life. I can make the transition, but now that's my next mission. The next mission is reinventing myself in the civilian world to now take all the skills, all the education that I've gotten from the military and be able to apply it somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's how you need to look at it, is that's your next mission.
Yeah, it is. And that process can be a little bit more extensive, because now you have to learn a new way to talk.
Sure.
You have to have your skills translate, but they don't look exactly the same. And all that other stuff. And if you're new to any of my platform here, then you can go back through and you can listen to all the transition stories I have that people decided to go from the military into business and hear what they went through. It was a bumpy road for all of them. I guarantee if you'll go back, you'll be like, man, my problem is not unique. but every single one of them, they realized their worth. They realized that they had that thing, whether they knew what it was or not, that they had to do. And they just went out and did exactly what they did, because the military teaches you how to plan, organize, and execute. You can do the same thing when you get out. And by the way, civilians, you can do the same thing. So let's go ahead and talk about that reinvention process.
Yeah,
because I think that's the great segue to move into that, and we'll see what that looks like. So planning. I don't want to control the mic here, Chris. So maybe I'll let you go into the planning. I could talk about maybe a little bit of organizing, and then we can talk about executing.
Yeah. The way that I look at planning, especially from a reinvention standpoint, is I'm old school, so I'll use like a notepad and a pen. There you go. If you want to go digital, that's fine too. But I like to feel the pen in my hand and like writing things down. So I will write down like what am I trying to do here? Right. I'm a huge fan of the reverse engineering.
Yep.
So if my goal is, let's see, what would be a good reinvention goal, JJ?
Maybe just to go out and start figuring out how to apply for that new job after you've been in one for 10 years or something like that.
There you go. So I'm transitioning from one job to another. I've been in this job for 10 years. And now what I want to do is I want to identify what type of job am I looking for? What are the companies that I want to go to work for? And then I started working it down. Okay, who do I know that might be in one of those companies or could introduce me to one of those companies? And I start making a list. And from that, I will develop my plan. But these are all of the key ingredients. And that's what you need to think about is what are the ingredients that I need for this recipe? Because the end of the recipe is a fully baked cake. So, and in this case, that cake is a new job that you're trying to transition into. What do I need to do? I need to polish up my resume. Might need to go get a new suit if I'm interviewing in person. Um, I would probably want to have some conversations with people that may be in that role already and who might be willing to help me prep for my interviews. So I would start. I always start wide and gather my intel, and then I bring it down narrow to create my action steps. And that's where I would come up with my plan is okay, I got all these pieces. Now let's start to put them in order. Now you put them into a SMART framework, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. And then you start to execute, come up with milestones that you need to meet and start moving. That's the biggest thing is you can't get bogged down in the details too much in a way that prevents you from taking action. You just need to start putting one foot in front of the other. You can adapt as you go, but you get your background work done, start moving, and then start iterating.
Well, and I'll add to that. So let's say you are a younger person and maybe you do the digital thing. There is nothing wrong with using the tools that are available to you. What I will say that ChatGPT is not going to tell you 100% what that next thing could be for you if you're a little bit lost.
Yep.
What it will do is that if you give it a couple ideas of things that you've been thinking about doing, you can, well, not just ChatGPT, you can use Gemini, you can use Copilot. If you're one of those people who likes to use AI to do idea generation, so this is just a framework that you can do. You can actually talk to AI as if it's your personal assistant and ask it to generate a list of questions to get your mind to help you better organize your thoughts, to figure out what might be the right next step for you to do, especially if you're not sure. You might be between one or two careers and maybe starting a business or something like that, and let it ask you the questions. You still might not like the answer. You're going to have to be a big boy or a big girl and figure that out on your own and make that decision, because I mean, I don't think you're going to let another person, control your outcome. So why would you let something on your computer or phone control your outcomes? Even though I think some of us, I know I've talked to some people who feel like that whatever ChatGPT says is what you have. That is not true, people. So I've actually heard that a few times. It's not that intelligent, to be quite honest with you. It has all the knowledge of the internet, but it's not a person.
I want to hang on that for just a second, JJ, because that is such an important point. The machine is not smarter than you. The machine does not know you better than you. It might help you to maybe flesh out some things, but you can't give up control to AI.
No.
And otherwise, that's when we have the Terminator and things like that.
Okay, hold on. Let me get my thoughts back together here. All right, let's talk about organizing. So
let's organize us, JJ. Come on,
let's get our stuff together here. No, I like the idea of plan, organize, execute. That's always what I've done in the past. And when you reverse engineer things, let's organize things. So you got your end state. That let's go back to the original, that you're going to be starting that next job, and you want to know what it takes to get to the point where you can apply for the places and all that other stuff. You know what your end state is. You've laid out everything that you need to do to make that happen. Now it's time to figure out what to take action on first. Organizing that just basically means what are the most actionable things that can get you the most progress now, that don't take too much preparation to get you there. Because at the end of the day, if it takes a whole lot of preparation, you're not going to do it. At least not right away. And then tomorrow's going to come, and then next week's going to come, and then next month is going to come, and before you know it, we're in 2027. So, before you execute, figure out what is the most actionable. Because if it's too difficult, you're gonna rush it. And even if you do execute it, it might be messy anyway, but it's gonna look all disjointed. So just make sure you're doing the thing that actually makes sense to execute first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it may seem overwhelming, right? If you're making a big change, it may seem overwhelming, and it's you may have a hard time understanding where to begin execution. But you just have to keep in mind that, it's the old saying, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? You just have to start moving. So you've got to, and that's part of the organization part. If you've got a whole big list of things, you've got to rank order them. Well, I'm not going to go on an interview until I've polished up my resume. I'm not submitting my resume to any places or I'm not applying until I have my resume ready. So, like, order the things that you need to do, and that will help give you some structure, and it won't look as daunting, and you're able to go step by step and move along.
Yep, I agree. And let's we can move on to execution now. So everyone thinks that execution is just do it. Well, what happens if it doesn't work?
Mm-hmm.
What happens if it is messy? Well, execution is actually a learning process. And I like to use the good old-fashioned military AAR as an example for these things, because it's a great way to unscrew yourself as you go and get better with every attempt. Because an AAR is an after-action review, and basically, I'm not going to give you a full example of one, but an after-action review is when you go out there, you try something, and you reflect on it, and you look at what went right, what went wrong. And if you look back at some past episodes, you're going to see that we've gone over this a few times. But what went right, what went wrong, what you can do differently, and what is going well. And then you figure out what you can sustain and what you can improve. Because guess what? If it didn't go as intended the first time, there are going to be ways to improve what you did, and you're going to need to cut some of the stuff out that you did and try some new things. And guess what? That may sound daunting, but all it is learning as you go. When you were a baby, you would fall on your butt 50 times before you ever got across the living room floor. Now you're a big boy or a big girl. Now you need to go up there and you need to try it and not be worried to fall on your butt and get back up and move across the damn rug.
That's right.
So I'm not sure what you have to add to that, Chris, but that's kind of my take on execution.
That's pretty much it. I mean, we have talked before about iterative decision making. So when you get yourself into that habit of moving, reflecting, learning, and adjusting, right? The AARs are super important. I've been doing that equivalent in the civilian world for years. It's amazing how you can take a team that are mediocre performers to begin with and turn them into high performers when you bake in that process of reviewing, doing the after action review. But by doing that, it allows you to keep moving, right? The AARs don't stop the process. It's a small pause of, okay, just got through this hurdle. Now, how did it go? Next hurdle. What do I learn? Do I need to go slightly right? Hang a hard left right here. But that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Without action, you will not get to whatever your end state is, and the action will never be perfect. So don't wait for it to be perfect.
Yeah, and the other important thing to think of too is that sometimes while you're going through the process of executing and learning and moving forward, sometimes you end up moving in an unintentional direction. And so part of reinvention is learning what that direction can be anyway. And so don't be afraid if different opportunities come up while you're getting to your destination, because it could be better than what you originally intended.
That's absolutely right. You have to have your eyes open all the time.
Yep.
You can't be so fixated on achieving that goal out here, and you're walking around with like horse blinders on. And when you're so target focused, you miss potential other opportunities.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of focus and scan almost at the same time.
Yeah, of course, always. And that's, I'll be honest with you. I mean, we're almost at the end of the show here, so I don't want to add too much more to it. So maybe this is the time where I say, do you have any closing comments to add on the topic here, Chris?
The only closing topic is, when you think about reinvention, realize that it's for the better of yourself, right? You're looking to make yourself you're looking to evolve. So you're looking for the next kind of phase of you. It doesn't necessarily get rid of what you had in the past, but it should be strengthening it. And you should be taking what you're strong at and becoming even stronger, looking at your weaknesses and tweaking them to become strengths. But it's not about losing who you are, it's about becoming the next level of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And my closing comment on this is, anyone who goes through a reinvention, my biggest reinvention, it was my separation from service. And so I can speak to that because I had to do it multiple times, actually, in the course of about 5 years.
Mhm.
So what I will say about that is, do it. It sucks. But whatever you are good at, you are going to still be good at, no matter what you do. And just because you leave a profession that the company or the organization or whatever the case may be inside and out, and you weren't used to having to worry about anything other than what that progression looked like within that organization, well, you don't have that anymore if you move on and when you move on. But that that's a scary thing, but it is not a bad thing, because you will learn that all that time you spent investing in yourself and having that organization investing in you actually did a lot for whatever that next role is going to be. And so your professional identity is going to be one that's going to make you even more successful as you move forward into that next thing, whether it's a business or another job or whatever the case may be. And don't be afraid of using what you have learned and reflecting on that experience as you go, and doing all the things that you would normally do to make yourself successful, because you're not a different person. You just don't have that company buffer to hold you back, hold you and catch you when you move on to that next thing. And
That's
that's
right.
okay, because you
Yep.
can do it. It can be done. If people have been doing it for who knows how many years, and if my goofy ass can do it, you can do it too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So we can wrap that up. Since I didn't do it in the beginning, I'll do it at the end here. Don't forget to go to Amazon.com and check out the book, Speak Up, Show Up, Lead. This is my story of grit, growth, and leadership from the ground up, from my childhood to service to, it actually talks about that transition a little bit in this book, and then moving on to business ownership. Okay.
Awesome. And JJ, I want to share something with the audience as well. So I have a new podcast that's coming out. It's called Freedom to Build. And the purpose of this podcast is I am interviewing people leaders of companies who are purposefully building in America. So they're creating jobs in the United States. They're giving back to their communities. They're contributing to the economy of our country. So for too long, for the past 40 some years, 50 years, we've been offshoring all the critical components of manufacturing, infrastructure, you name it. We've been telling a whole generation or more than one generation at this point to not work with your hands. Go get a degree, manage, optimize, whatever. But I think now as a country, we're coming to that realization that we have a lack of skilled labor and we don't have that same pride that we used to have. So this show is a platform to give those companies a voice. We get to learn about people that are making things in the United States and how that affects everybody, the people, the communities, the economy, the whole nine yards. So find us on Freedom to Build on any of the platforms. So YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, website is on the way, but Freedom to Build, and come check us out.
All right. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe and do all those fun things. And then make sure you're commenting below so that we know what you liked, didn't like, all that sort of stuff. But let's keep that conversation going, and we will see you all next time.
Let's go.